If you're ready to find your path to success or take the success you're enjoying to the next level, stay tuned. Successful Living with Bill Napick is on right now.
Welcome to the show, Successful Living with Bill Napick, and today, Successful Living with Christy Stratton. That's right. If you listen to this station or any of the Salem stations, you probably have heard of Christy Stratton. She has a show called The Divorce Coaching Hour. She's going to tell us about that and so much more right now. Welcome to the show, Christy.
Thank you, Bill. Happy New Year and new decade.
New decade. It's so awesome. And the Divorce Coaching Hour. 1 o'clock every Saturday on 100.7 FM. You've been doing that now for quite a while.
31 episodes.
30, you're like me, you count your episodes.
I do.
It's so cool to do that.
And we ended 2019 with 30 episodes. 31 aired last weekend, and 32 will air this weekend.
That is a nice chunk. And
You
there's 52 weeks in a year,
I
so that's
know.
over almost a year.
Yeah, well, you know what I was thinking, too? I was thinking, okay, I'm ready to celebrate the 52, the year mark, you know. I'm like, gosh, that's going to take me, 100. That's going to take me a while.
It'll be here before we know it. It's
Yes.
like watching the odometer. I love counting the shows. It's just interesting. But let's tell people, in case they haven't heard, the Divorce Coaching Hour. And, of course, they can go past episodes at your website, but let's tell them what that show is, because you can't get divorced within an hour. It takes longer than that, and we don't recommend divorce because it is a tough scenario in most cases. But
I had
let's
not
tell
thought
them
about it like that. You don't get divorced in an hour.
we have our drive-through divorce. No, we don't. We're not recommending
no,
divorce.
not at all. And
it is
so
a
let
serious
me say,
subject, but let's tell people what your show
Yeah,
does.
the Divorce Coaching Hour with Christy Stratton is just really an absolute godsend. And long ago when I decided to go into and specialize in coaching as I moved out of the corporate world, I kind of had this deep sense that I know, having gone through divorce, I wanted to work with people who had gone through divorce and hopefully help them in a way that I needed then. It may or may not have been around divorce coaching then, 12-ish years ago when I divorced, but it is around today, and there's actually a program called and a certification called the CDC Certified Divorce Coaching Program, and I am a certified divorce coach. I'm also an International Coach Federation accredited coach, and I've been practicing in the coaching world since about 2013. Prior to that was in the real estate world, which
I'm
you
familiar
are
with that.
you're a little bit familiar with that, yes?
That's right.
So
All roads lead to
all
real
roads
estate in
yes.
one way or another.
They really do. And, real estate is a part of divorce as well.
It's a part of everything.
It's divorce touches so much. And, that's really what I do with people. And to go back to what you said, we don't coach people to get divorced. I don't coach people get divorced. In fact, I said to a client yesterday, client, it's not that I want you to get divorced, but now that you've made this decision, let's walk the path together, helping you make the very best decisions for you and your family along the way, processing it. So really what we are is a thinking partner. We help them look at divorce eyes wide open. So if they've made the decision to divorce, these are the things that we can help them with. Now, the show is about all things divorce, Saturdays from 1 to 2, as you said, right here on well, not right here, but on KKHT, a Salem media station, every Saturday from 1 to 2. And we talk about everything that covers divorce, not just the legal aspect. We do bring attorneys on. We talk about the different options that you have in divorce so that people are educated and informed with regards to divorce. But we also talk about everything else. So it's really for those who are considering divorce to look at it eyes wide open, in the midst of divorce, walking the path with them as their thinking partner, and coming out of it. Because as you're coming out of it, and I also work with people in business and career, but that's another transition. Am I starting a new job? Am I moving to a new place? What does my life look like now? What does my life look like in the future? And the show is also for those who may know someone who is going through divorce as well. and then they can pass on the information. And yes, it's on podcast as well, and you can find that right at kkht.com.
They can hear each and every of the past 30-some episodes.
Yes, they can.
And we chuckle at the beginning, but divorce, I've been through it. It's a serious subject. And the other thing is that when someone goes through a divorce, you feel like you're alone. And the thing about your show is, one, there's not another show like it. And when people hear your show, I think they feel good, especially if they're in the process or they're in the process of thinking about it. It's a show that's helping people. And when you mention all the categories, you do explore so many. Yeah, there's legal categories. Then you had shows about the pet. What happens to the pets? That's a big part of the family.
You don't think about that. We have shows about real estate. What about the kids?
Everything is affected.
Everything is affected.
And that's why the show is so popular, and it's comforting in that way and super informative. And you're kind of fun to listen to. I'll say that.
Well, thank you.
I'm not married. I'm not thinking about divorce. But when I hear your show, it's like, yeah, I understand that. And it makes me mindful of those that now are in that boat. And let me just add this. Just in the past, 2 months, I've run into two people that I've known. One, married over 25 years, 3 children. You would this is under the category in life of things aren't what they appear. Yeah. I'm looking at this person, I'm thinking they are rock solid.
Right.
Super professionals.
Yep.
$1 million plus, maybe $2 million home, kids in Ivy League schools.
You don't know what's going on, behind those closed doors, and people are, they come to a situation. And matter of fact, one of the things that's on the rise is what's called gray and silver divorce. So that's, latter years where people are being married for 50 some odd years, just walking in and finding a note. I'm done.
I've heard that, and
yes.
So, but this one person I'm telling you about in this rock solid what would appear to be a solid scenario, hey, we're getting a divorce. And then like 2 weeks later, another person that I know who's married maybe 3-4 years sends me a text. I'm getting a divorce. I'm like, oh my goodness. I thought I was looking at you guys as my model. And again, things are not what they appear. So
they aren't. And, and there are some articles out there that show at the beginning of the year, the divorce rate rises. And it, sometimes that's the case because people are thinking, let's just get through the holidays. We've made the decision. We're going to. And this is a real important way, I think, to look at it. I had a mental health professional on the show, and we also have mental health professionals, counselors, that sort of thing, to talk about the way that you're processing divorce, the emotional brain, into getting you into the thinking brain. So we go everywhere with the show. But this particular counselor, psychologist rather, spoke of it being restructuring of a marriage, which is, if you think about divorce, it's, from a legal term, it's a dissolution of a marriage. And we might just think we can go file some documents and be done, but it really is restructuring every element of somebody's life. And so that's one of the things, when people are considering it in that phase, is to really think about, this is not just going to be a quick thing. It's going to make life better. Someone else new will make life better. It really affects everything from the kids, like we were talking about, and here's the other thing. I think people, and hopefully people who are listening are going to get that if they're considering a divorce, to really reach out to someone, and not your friends, not your family, because they're not objective, but to someone like myself as a coach, and think through the process, because what we may think is going to happen, here to say probably is not. I think if I could have taken it when I was about to file for divorce, and I needed to file for divorce many years ago, someone said to me, matter of fact, my brother, who's a family law attorney, he said, don't go down this path if you're not ready. And I didn't really know what that meant, but I did it out of emotion, and boom, and it just went from bad to worse. And even in the most amicable divorces, so-called, if you called it an amicable divorce, there are things that kind of come up that you would not foresee. And it really, somebody said it like this. Matter of fact, a pastor who I had on my show said, people think that divorce is the easier route. Staying in a marriage often is, because it's really, a communication issue. And if we can go to get some help and at least try to keep the marriage alive, then we can keep that marriage. Because at some point we did love that person. At some point it was working. Then, now, that's also not to say that there are not marriages like myself, we don't know, that do need to be dissolved. And then what are you going to do when it dissolves?
And when we think of the fixable marriage, right, and where that may be the best route, and often is, in the two examples that I gave you, one of the people said to me the word pride and stubbornness, right, about the other party. And I'm thinking, yeah, I've been there. We've all been there where we're stubborn, prideful, and that, but don't let it ruin such a big thing when there's children involved and all that. So it is very interesting. I would say, and I don't know what the statistics are because it's really personal and emotional, but if you were to just guess and say, let's take 10 divorces, and someone, especially take the person that decides to go through the divorce, out of 10 of those people, how many of them find out that, oh my goodness, this is a tougher road than I even thought of? Because sometimes they think, I get a divorce, my problems are solved.
Right.
No way.
Yeah. That's an intangible, I do know one of the guests that I had on the show who was actually, and we also bring people on the show who've been through divorce who are willing to talk about their experience, said this, that he had heard that divorce affects 4 to 5 generations of a family. And when you think about that, how far reaching it can be, usually we think, oftentimes rather, we think that it's very short term, that this is a quick fix. Again, I'm going to find somebody new. Problem is there's one consistent element of going into that next relationship.
It couldn't be that I was in that one and the next one and the past. It couldn't be me, could it?
No, we never want to look at ourselves, right?
It almost sounds like a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, well,
where
it might.
I don't blame you for breaking up with me. If I could break up with myself, I would. Yeah, that kind of thing.
And sometimes we need to, and that can be the catalyst to help someone really take that, new look at themselves and make changes going forward. But if we're thinking, I'm just going to get someone new and it's going to be better, then that's kind of what we call stinking thinking, right? And so we can utilize the catalyst of divorce, this change, this challenge, whatever it may be, this restructuring of a marriage in our lives to, in fact, help us move forward and grow as a person. So if that's the case, that's where we can come in and help them, grow. Use this situation as an opportunity to grow from it, make some better choices. And, that's what I say. I'm, believe it or not, the show is sometimes fun. We have some levity because we were trying to make, we're trying to make a serious subject a little bit light. And, we poke fun at human behavior, just like we're doing right here. But we also have to look at, the overarching effect of it. And one of the other things we touch on is that divorce still has a bit of a stigma to it. And I didn't realize that until I went to an event earlier in the year, and people were kind of like, oh, I don't need your show. I don't need a divorce coach. I'm never going to get divorced. I don't know anybody that gets divorced. Well, in fact, nationwide statistics are 47 to 53% of marriages end in divorce. You go into second marriages, that's a higher percentage. And, one of the things I think we'll be working on in 2020 is I'm considering a TED Talk. And that TED Talk is about the 7-letter dirty word you didn't know you were using.
We are talking with Christy Stratton, the host of the Divorce Coaching Hour. In fact, I think we're saying the divorce rate the first time around may be 50%.
It depending, but nationally about 47%, and that can ebb and flow, obviously.
I think it was Jay Leno that said, I'm not going to get on a plane if there's a 50% chance of it being a safe ride, but that's a whole nother story. The other thing that comes to mind, there's so many categories of people that are listening. There's people like me that listen to that aren't married, aren't going to get a divorce until whatever. But then you have the people that are thinking about it. You have the people that have gone forth to say, I'm in the process, and sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's harder. But then you have the people, and here's where the opportunity lies. Here's the successful living element, perhaps, and the successful living element could be that you stay with your mate and you make it work, you communicate, that's successful. But the other side is, you've already alluded to it, and that is the clean slate. So let's say you do get a divorce and all these pieces are coming together. You're dealing with a lot of tough things and just putting your life back together. If you have children, you're putting them back together in a new rhythm, a new groove, even your pets, as we say. Yeah. So, but it's that opportunity for the fresh start. So there you could look in that rearview mirror and say, okay, what have I learned? What am I not going to do? What was the part that maybe I was doing that screwed things up or helped make it a challenging thing where we ended up parting?
How can I grow from this?
How do I grow? Where do I go from here? But the good news is that part of it gives us that renewal part of life, that clean slate once again, which we need. I mean, our lives are like that eraser board. We have to clean the slate, not just once, but many times.
And we're here.
Renewal. It's renewal.
We're here, there, and I've talked to a couple people about this. It's a new decade, right? And I was at my International Coaching Federation chapter meeting Monday, and we went around the table and we talked about what are we requesting from the year. And I hadn't really thought about it that way. And I said, I don't know that I'm requesting anything from the year, but what I do know, I'm realized is that this is a new decade, and I don't know when and how. I kind of do know when. On December 30th, it hit me. I can let the last 10 years go. It's a decade. This is a new decade, and I've kind of, as I can remember back in my 20s and looking forward and talking with my friends, we're going to get married and we're going to have kids, and then I don't know, somewhere happened the 30s and 40s, but now as I'm looking at the 2020 and forward, is yes, I've looked in the rearview mirror. I'm working on things that I think that can help me grow as a person. But if we stay in that rearview mirror, we can't move forward. And 2020 is a time to do that.
Two quick random things.
Okay.
One is, you mentioned the stigma. Sometimes we're filling out a form. Do you ever notice it says single?
Exactly. That's going to be in a part of my talk.
Wait a minute. Single,
married, or divorced.
Hey.
Why?
I'm single. Doesn't matter whether I was divorced or not. I'm single.
Going to be a part of my talk. I'm doing research on that now.
Isn't that wild? And then here's another thing, another random thing. I will tell you, I've been divorced since 1995. Yeah, that's a long time ago. But still, I have a friend, and periodically, hey, I just seen your ex. I'm like, why are you still telling me that?
Yes.
Why do I care at this point? That's 20 years ago. But, I mean, I'm talking about just a few weeks ago.
For some reason they do. But, yeah, it's...
For some reason, why do you remember that? Why?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Don't have, not that I have all the answers, but we certainly are there to try to educate and inform people and help them through this process. And that's really what my entire goal for the show is.
It is fascinating. The Divorce Coaching Hour with Christy Stratton. You sound good. It's informative. You have a tremendous voice. People are compelled to listen to the show every week. They can do so every Saturday at 1 o'clock on 100.7 FM and, of course, on your website. With the last few minutes, let's remind people of the website, Christy, and anything else you think they should know about the show or about the idea of what we should do when we're thinking about divorce. And also to be mindful, I guess this is a whole nother subject, of if we're not going through a divorce, how do we help people that are? How do we be there as friends, perhaps even?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lots of questions.
Because that would be my role here with the two people I mentioned in some small way.
and I'm not here to sell, but I do fully believe in the ability of a divorce coach, and there are about 1,000 divorce coaches worldwide.
And you're the only one on the radio right now, and they can reach out to you.
As far as I know, in Houston, yes, and they certainly can. Probably the best place to go is to my Facebook page. That's where I'm posting the shows. If they want to go to their podcast app, they can grab the show there. Just put in the Divorce Coaching Hour with Christy Stratton. Facebook, we're going to be at the Divorce Coaching Hour with Christy Stratton. So you just go type that in. You're going to find us everywhere. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to offer a consultation, talk them through what divorce coaching is. And a listener called the other day and said, I heard your show. Tell me a little bit about you. I've got somebody who I think I could refer you to, that sort of thing. Absolutely call me at 281-944-8043. 281-944-8043. Happy to talk about that. And, I think important there, you asked me a question about what would I tell somebody. And in coaching, we're not there to give advice. We're there to help them walk the path with them. But so I'm taking off the coach hat right now. I'm going to give some advice, is think through it. Reach out to somebody who is an objective thinking partner.
Your pastor, perhaps, if you're
Pastor,
at a church.
that's where a lot of people
go. That's a good go-to.
But not your friends and family. They're not objective. They've got too many ties to who they want you to be, who they think you are, everything. They've got their opinions, right? And you want somebody who's objective, definitely to a pastor, definitely to a divorce coach, even attorney. We do have resources on the show. That's another thing that we do, is we provide resources to attorneys, to mental health professionals, to real estate agents who are specializing in that area, to even home stagers as well, who can help you sell your home faster and beyond. So, Christy Stratton at ChristyStratton.com is my email address, or ChristyStratton.com.
Easy name to remember, too. Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but when you Google it, when you go in and search the name, there are 2 Christy Strattons. I'm sure there's more Christy Strattons, but there's one that's famous. I'm not her.
Well, you get it. I don't know. You're famous in some circles. The website, again, is
ChristyStratton.com.
That easy. And if you're listening to our 11 o'clock broadcast on 1070 a.m., all you have to do at 1 o'clock, I know your interest is piqued. If you don't already hear the show, just switch the channel, another Salem channel.
There you
1
go.
o'clock, Christy will be
Have
there.
Have some lunch, and then,
for the full hour.
Yeah.
Not sure, every week, tremendous guests, 100.7 FM, and it is very interesting to listen to your show, because it just brings insights that you might not think about all the time.
And this week we actually have someone who has been a client of mine, not necessarily a divorce coach or a divorce client, but a coaching client. She's going to talk about how coaching worked for her and the benefits of it for her.
And quite frankly, in life, we need a coach.
We can't coach ourselves.
Not just in the idea of divorce, but it's good to have a coach.
Yeah.
Most professionals, singers, athletics, they use coaches.
Everyone. Yeah.
Why not?
And we're not there to give advice. That's where a lot of people think we're like a football coach throwing plays. No, we're there as an International Coach Federation accredited coach. We listen in. We hear those subtleties. And I said before on a show, and it was just touched on at this chapter meeting, is that we do a lot of coaching sessions through the phone. It's not like we're sitting on a couch, somebody's sitting on a couch in our office. Because one of the things that you can hear, oddly enough, is body language through the phone. And what do I mean by that? We can hear those subtle shifts in tones, right? When maybe the voice drops and they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. And then we can speak into that, and we bring new awareness for people. And, it's really amazing how it works.
So awesome. So many nuances. Christy Stratton, the Divorce Coaching Hour. Check it out. Once again, 1 o'clock, 100.7 FM. Christy Stratton, you've been listening to Successful Living with Bill Napick. That's me. And today with Christy Stratton with the Divorce Coaching Hour. Thank you, Christy, for being on the show.
Thank you, Bill. I'm so happy to start the new year. We started it last year together.
That's right. And I can't wait to hear your show today.
Well, thank you. I can't wait to hear yours.